If you're on vacation, you're going to want to try as much food as you can, and finger foods are the best way to do that. Whether you order them as an appetizer, buy from a street vendor, or make them yourself, these are the finger foods you absolutely must try before you die. Galette-saucisse sounds super fancy, but it's really not. So what is it? It's essentially a pork sausage wrapped in what they call a pancake, but as Great British Chef's notes, it's not a pancake like you'd get in an American diner. It's basically a thick buckwheat crepe, and it's even better when you pick up a pint of cider to go with it. If you want to truly experience a culture, look to their food. If you happen to find yourself in Seoul, you're in the perfect place to pick up a little paper cone filled with chrysanthemum bread. It's called that because it's baked in molds that make the top of each little muffin look like a flower, and they're just as good as they look, especially hot and fresh. Traditionally, they're filled with a red bean paste, but Mayo Korea says you might just be as likely to find some vendors who make their bread with walnuts, peanuts, or even honey. Is it the perfect thing to snack on while you stroll through the rest of the market? Absolutely. Head off to the Netherlands and you'll find a food vending machine. It might look like something from 1940s America, but you're not going to get just a candy bar and some chips here. They're full of delicious food, but ordering can be a bit of a challenge if you don't speak the language. So take it from us, you'll need to get a Kaassouffle. A Kaassouffle is basically thin fried dough that's been filled with cheese. Taste Atlas says you're more likely to find other fillings added to some Kaassouffles these days, but if you want the traditional snack, opt for the original. Taking that dream Caribbean cruise? While you're on the islands, be sure to pick up some fried bananas. There are a ton of different ways they're served, and the one must-try has got to be Maruya. If you're looking for a sweet treat you can eat without making too much of a mess, this is the dessert for you. It's made with Saba bananas, and according to Casa Veneracion, this version of fried bananas is made by first slicing them into strips, then dipping them into an egg and flour batter and frying them up. Best of all, they're then coated in sugar. And everything's better when it's coated in sugar. Mumbai is one of the largest cities in the world, and if you want to get a real taste for the people, you'll need to try their favorite foods. What food are we talking about? Batata vada, of course. It's basically deep-fried potato balls, but inside these crunchy, crispy balls is a soft interior. That crunchy outside is made with a chickpea batter, and that makes it a brilliant vegetarian finger food that'll give you a quick pick-me-up.
Really good.
According to Taste Atlas, you'll also have to try the chutney that it's served with. Does dipping your potato fritters into a sauce of coconut, garlic, and tamarind sound exotic and tasty? Yes. Yes, it does. Not all finger foods need to be tried because they're delicious. Everyone needs some great stories to tell. And what's better than saying you ate giant larvae in the rainforest? Rainforest Cruises says that you're most likely to find Suri in Peru, and you can't miss it. They're giant grubs, the larvae of the palm weevil to be precise, that are skewered and cooked until they're crispy. They're a major food source for those living in the Amazon, as they're not only a common find, but they're also nutritious and apparently delicious. And as they say, when in Rome. Corn on the cob is undeniably amazing, and elote is in a class all by itself. Elote is a classic Mexican finger food, and there's seriously nothing better than eating it right as it comes off the grill. The corn is grilled to the point of charring and then covered in a thick sauce made from chilies, garlic, and cotija cheese. It's easy enough to make at home, says Serious Eats, but if you find yourself going south of the border, you need to try the real thing. It's the perfect example of tradition, salty, creamy, and a dash citrusy. The bottom line is, it's delicious, and it'll give you a whole new appreciation for authentic Mexican cuisine. Knish has been around for a long, long time. According to the Jewish Chronicle, it was first made in the 14th century. These first versions were typically made by stuffing dough with a cabbage and meat dumpling, but it's changed a lot over the years. And you don't even have to head to Eastern Europe to get some delicious Knish. Just go to New York City and, if you want the real stuff, visit the Knishery. It opened in 1910 and you can still get a delicious Knish to eat as you stroll down the city streets and practically take part in a long, long history. Sure, you've had bagels, but you haven't had truly amazing bagels until you've been to New York City, and there's just no way you can visit without having one of these delicious bready concoctions. They're the sort of thing that might ruin all other bagels for you, but at the same time, you'll think it was totally worth it.
You went all the way to New York City to get us bagels?
Oh, why? Is there a place closer that sells them?
There's been a long-held belief that New York bagels are special because there's something in the water, but according to NPR, that's not the case. It's actually all in the process, and New York bagel makers make the best bagels because they refrigerate their dough, then boil it before baking. That process fell by the wayside in areas more concerned about quantity and ease over quality, so if you want the real thing, the authentic bagel from the old country, you'll have to pick one up in NYC. Whether you're looking for something sweet or savory, breakfast, lunch, or a quick snack, there's a Boureka for you. According to My Jewish Learning, Bourekas originally came from Turkey and spread throughout North Africa and the Middle East. They're essentially a version of an empanada, and they're made by crisping dough with hot butter. And there's no limit as to what these pockets are filled with. You might find sweet fruits, savory ground, or veggies and potatoes. When you pick up a couple of these, you're actually munching on a snack that's been around for ages, and it's been an important part of Jewish ritual. Since the 16th century, it's been part of the Sabbath meals, and that's exactly why you need to try one or a few. Sure, you can get buffalo wings at Buffalo Wild Wings, any pizza place, or a sit-down restaurant for that matter, but you need to try the real thing at least once. That means going to Buffalo, and sure, you're going to have to stop at the Anchor Bar. They're the ones that invented this incredible finger food, which, let's be honest, is better than the main meal sometimes. But while you're in town anyway, you should try the buffalo wings at other places too. In Buffalo, they're just called wings. They're a seemingly simple food that's easy to get wrong, and for Buffalo restaurants, getting them right is a matter of civic pride. And that's pride you can taste. Head pretty much anywhere in America's Deep South, and you're going to have to try the Hushpuppies. They're the finger food with a weird name, and on the plus side, you won't forget what they're called. According to What's Cooking America, there are a few stories about where the name came from, and most of them involve people deep frying cornmeal nuggets to give to dogs to keep them quiet. Get it? Hush, puppy? Whether or not that's true is uncertain, but one thing we do know is that it's been an important part of Southern cooking since the 1720s. Now, they're such a popular part of Southern cuisine that you can't say you've eaten Southern food until you've had Hushpuppies. What the heck is a pepperoni roll? Well, it's way better than sliced bread. Drive to or through West Virginia, and you can stop pretty much anywhere to try a pepperoni roll. Gas stations, convenience stores, bakeries, they all have their own version, and once you have one, you'll never pass through the state without stopping again. The idea of the pepperoni roll goes back to West Virginia coal miners who needed something tasty and portable for lunch. Italian immigrants decided to bake pepperoni into the center of their rolls, and the result is shockingly good. The juices from the pepperoni bake into the bread as it cooks, flavoring the roll with a spicy oil. Absolutely nothing beats a pepperoni roll hot out of the oven, and why this hasn't caught on in other parts of the country is just a mystery. Love pizza? Wish there was a place that made little mini pizzas that didn't come in a microwavable tray? Italy does. They're called Pizzettes, and if you happen to be in Italy, definitely pick a few of these up.
Pizza? Never heard of it. That's what people will be saying in 20 years, because pizza is old news, Chris.
They're made with any and all of the ingredients you'd find on a traditionally sized pizza, but wee enough to eat on the run or as a quick snack. Taste Atlas says there are pizzerias everywhere that serve these little mini pizzas. Seriously, how can you go to Italy and not try one? First of all, when they're done right, Scotch eggs are brilliant. The egg in the center should be slightly runny, the sausage should be perfectly spicy, and the exterior should have the firm, crunchy coating that comes with a proper deep frying. They're a must to try if you're visiting the UK, but we're going to go one step further and say that you're also going to have to try these made with quail eggs. Quail eggs have a few things going for them. They're smaller than chicken eggs, so it's more of a single bite sort of thing. They also have a large yolk for their size, and according to great British chefs, that's what makes them really desirable. And how can you not feel all sorts of fancy eating quail eggs? Are you the type that always snacks on some of the mozzarella cheese when you're making a pizza? Do you love mozzarella sticks? If yes, you're going to have to add ordering mozzarella in Carrozza from a restaurant in Italy to your bucket list. The appetizer originated in 19th century Venice, according to Cantina do Spade. In an attempt to use slightly stale bread and mozzarella cheese that wasn't quite as fresh as it should be, they decided to make a sandwich out of them and fry it. It's possibly the most amazing finger food you've never heard of, a sort of above and beyond mozzarella stick. Different areas have their own versions too. Naples uses just bread and mozzarella, while places in Venice might add more toppings before frying. So yes, that means you'll have to try them in both cities. If you want a real Cornish pasty, the Cornish Pasty Association says there's actually legislation in place that specifies it needs to be made in Cornwall. It needs to contain only diced or minced beef, sliced or diced potato, turnip, onion, salt and pepper. Otherwise, it's not an actual Cornish pasty and really, there's no need to mess with perfection. But there's good news. If you're off to Britain, you can probably find the real deal no matter where you're going. Cornish bakers send their delicious meat-filled pastry pockets all over, so they're pretty easy to find. How often do you get to try a finger food that's a full meal on the go? If you happen to be anywhere in India or Asia and see samosas on the menu, definitely order them. But you might want to ask what's in them because there's no real standard for fillings. These neat little triangles can contain pretty much anything. They're incredibly popular now, but when you try some of these packets of deep-fried goodness, know that you're snacking on something that Quartz says was blessed and beloved by Indian royalty and deemed a fitting snack food for the king. You'd better be able to say you're a part of the tradition. Out and about in Southeast Asia, pick up some Satay skewers. They're the finger food you don't even have to touch. Like the name suggests, Satay skewers are essentially chunks of meat that have been marinated, skewered and grilled. They're served still on the stick, and they usually come with a peanut sauce that's nothing short of amazing. According to Grapes and Grains, it's been around for a long time, and there are different versions. Sample the lemongrass and ginger sauté of Malaysia, the coconut-flavored Thai sauté, or try some in the Netherlands. Because of the long-standing colonial relationship between the Netherlands and Indonesia, you can get a passably authentic version there too. And don't skimp on the sauce. Anyone who's been to Australia knows that even though Outback Steakhouse pretends it's serving up authentic cuisine, it's really not. And that's a shame because the Chiko roll is one truly authentic dish that would fit right on the menu. Today, you can pick up these deep-fried rolls almost anywhere in Australia. They're affectionately described as sort of a mystery meat egg roll, even though they're not that much of a mystery. Most are filled with mutton, cabbage, barley, rice, carrots, celery, and some spices. SBS says that the very essence of the Chiko roll is this: chilling on the beach and rolling up to a kiosk to pick one up before you continue on your oceanside ramble. Why would you ever go to Australia and not do that? There's really only one place you're going to be able to get this one, and while there might be a reason for that, you still need to try one. Why? Because you know that face you made when you saw chocolate-covered onions? Imagine the looks you'll get when you tell people you tried one. You'll have to go to the Mueller Chocolate Company in Philadelphia. And yes, the whole idea came about as a joke. A local comedian once asked them to make a bouquet of these very questionable treats for the opening gag of his TV show. Admit it, you're kind of curious now, aren't you?
It tastes exactly like what you think it tastes like.
If you're the type that goes for the ultra-exotic vacations, maybe you'll be heading off to Madagascar at some point. If you do, then you'll need to try their Mofo sakay, which translates to spicy bread. And that's pretty much what it is. Little nuggets of tomatoes, greens, and spices mixed into batter and then deep fried. Bonus, it's super easy to make once you get home too, as long as you have a deep fryer. What better way to impress friends and family with tales of your trip to Madagascar than to serve them up some authentic finger foods to try? Some foods become an invaluable part of a culture's history and identity. For the Navajo, that's exactly what Frybread is. At a glance, it looks like unsweetened fried dough, like the kind you might get at a carnival or fair anywhere across the states. It's much more than that, though. According to the Smithsonian, it was invented out of necessity as a way to use the meager rations of white flour, lard, and sugar that displaced Native American tribes were given. Today, Frybread is still made, and it's also being blamed for things like obesity and diabetes. One piece of fry bread has 25 grams of fat and 700 calories after all, but it's still said that a powwow isn't complete without fry bread. And that heritage is why everyone should try it at least once, while acknowledging where it came from and why. Egg waffles are also called egg puffs, and it's easy to see why. They resemble a pancake sporting egg-shaped bumps. It's something that's unique to Hong Kong, and according to the South China Morning Post, they're a fairly recent addition to menus. In the 1950s, shopkeepers were looking for a way to use the eggs they'd gotten broken or cracked, and they developed this easy-to-make yet delicious batter with eggs, flour, and evaporated milk. Simple, right? Sure, you can make one at home, but the kind you'll pick up on the streets of Hong Kong are unrivaled. You'll get a perfectly crunchy exterior, a burst of warm air from the pockets, and a slightly smoky flavor to the soft batter. You might want to get a few. Once you start tearing them apart, they'll be gone before you know it. It goes without saying that when you go to France, you have to try literally everything. But we'd like to give one thing in particular a shout-out. They're called Gougeres. And the easiest way to describe them is sort of through something else. Do you love cream puffs? You can think of them as the cheese version. According to Epicurious, you can get them pretty much anywhere in France. But if you want the real thing, you'll have to go to Burgundy. Here's a pro tip. Order a glass of champagne too. Seriously, is there anything that sounds better than sipping a glass of champagne, eating cheesy little pastry puffs while looking out at some amazing French scenery? We think not. Everything is better with cheese, right? If you love cheese, you need to try cheese curds. The Huffington Post calls them cheese's best-kept secret, and it's true. Unsurprisingly, it's Wisconsin that's best known for their cheese curds, but you can get them across the Midwest and up to Canada. So what are they? All Recipes describes them as baby cheese, but you can eat the curds right away. In fact, if they're more than about 12 hours old, they're not going to be very good. If they're more than a week old, then you've just got cheese, and curds are something different entirely. Stop by a cheesemaker and pick up a bag of fresh, lumpy-looking cheese curds, and you'll have a delicious snack that squeaks when you bite into it. If you happen to be at a Midwestern state fair, there's a good chance you'll see a stand for deep-fried cheese curds. And it goes without saying that you should definitely get those too. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more mashed videos about your favorite foods are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.